So today is a very special day in the Vaishnava calendar. It is the appearance day of Gopal Bhatta Goswami and disappearance day Ramachandra Kaviraja. So, I was going to chant the Goswami Ashtam, but it's too long actually to take up most of the class. The bhajan, yeah, but it's very long. I was thinking maybe I should do it. I'll just do Jai Radha-ramana, or maybe we can do the prayer to the departed Vaishnavas today. Jai Ho Nila Prema Dana Korana Pracho Jayanilo Premachana Koruna Pracho Hey no Prabhu Kota Gela Charya Thakur No Prabhu Kota Gela Charya Thakur Gahamora Saruprupa Kaha Sanatan Akhara Saraguna Patita Pawan Kahamora Bhatta Yuga Kaviraja Ekakane Kotakela Gora Naturas Pashane Kutivo Mata Anale Pashibo Goranga Gunera Nidhi Kota Kele Prabhu Se Sabhasangira Sange Jacoilo Vilas Se sangana payakande narotamodas. Jehanila prema jana Koruna Prachur Jaya Jaya Thakur Jaya Jaya Thakur Jaya Jaya Thakur Jaya Jaya Thakur. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravinkacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace Sabaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anandakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadwaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha-Krishna Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Machuranam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lasadevi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bal. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Staya Budale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivashesha Shinyavadi Paschatya Deja Tarani. So, read the translation. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where is such a personality as Srinivasacharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna's Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. So as I mentioned, today we are commemorating the appearance day of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and also the disappearance day of Ramachandra Kaviraja, who is specifically mentioned here. Both are specifically mentioned in this poem to the departed Vaishnavas. So first we'll talk about Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami is not mentioned that much. So Omagana Timirandasha, Gananjana Shalakya, Chakshur and Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigadvena Maha. Gopal Bhatta Goswami is not mentioned very much in the Chaitanya Charitamrita because when Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, who had association with Gopal Bhatta Goswami, asked for Gopal Bhatta Goswami's blessings in order to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gopal Bhatta Goswami said, I don't want to be in it. That was his humility. And actually we see this throughout many of his activities and pastimes, that he exhibited extreme humility. And nowadays, of course, people want to jump higher and higher and higher, as Prabhupada quoted this nice Bengali verse, which he translated to English. Big, big belly, big monkey, sail on jumping, melancholy, which means that if we try to imitate these great devotees like Hanuman, And Hanuman, what? He jumped over from India to Ceylon or Sri Lanka. Then we, instead of flying through the air, will fall flat on our bellies. Because we are more or less, I'm not we, like someone is like a monkey trying to jump higher. It's like we were just in Govardhan, we saw these monkeys all over the place, just jumping all over the place. So we don't want to be like monkeys. So anyway, so he's extremely humble in spite of being extremely educated, which we're going to talk about. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami actually appeared in a completely different area of India than the other Goswamis at Vrindavan. He was from South India. And you find the other Goswamis, they're actually from the Bengal area, which is really interesting. So therefore, he was particularly equipped to write and elaborate on different rituals. Whereas in Bengal, they have some rituals, like we've been reading about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's second marriage to Vishnu Priya. Very interesting discussion. I thought it was particularly interesting when they talked, not they, but in the Chaitanya Bhagavad it was mentioned that during the marriage of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there would be the bride and the groom would both be sitting, and then they'd be lifted up in the air, and there'd be a competition which one was higher. It's in the Chaitanya Bhagavad. The first time I actually, I read it before, but it never really struck me. When you're reading out loud to other people, it actually, you learn a lot more. So I was just thinking, oh my God. So we should try that. So anyway, so Bengal has so many rituals, but in South India, they're very, very expert in all the details of devotional service. And you can see that's why Gopal Bhatta Goswami was actually placed or born in South India, so that he could bring into our Vaishnava Sampradaya more explicit rules and regulations as far as the deity worship, Vaishnava behavior, and particularly something he wrote about, which I'll be talking about in a second, with the samskaras. Samskara means reformatory practices, like the Antyeshti, which is, of course, the funeral, and then the Garbhadan Sanskar, which is the seed-giving ceremony. So you have all these different samskaras. All right, I'll get to that in a minute. So, but you see, there's a reason he appeared in South India, to actually have that particular knowledge. So, he appeared in a very interesting place in South India called Srirangam. Anybody who's been to Srirangam, I have. It's very interesting. It's like a little island, but actually it's connected with a land bridge. It's more like an isthmus, as they say. But the temple it's extremely traditional in that they have delineation between the different varnas insofar as where people live. And those particular areas are like circular around the main temple. In other words, the first circle are the Brahmins. The second circle are the Kshatriyas. Third circle is the Vaishya. Fourth circle is the Shudras. And very elaborate temple construction. And of course they worship Lord Ranganath there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited there during the 4 months of the rainy season, the Chaturmasya period. And of course during the Chaturmasya period, the sannyasis generally didn't travel, because if they traveled, it was just too rainy and there were no roads at that particular time. So he was feeling, it's such an interesting thing, that he was feeling so much separation from Lord Jagannath while he was there that he personally carved deities of Jagannath, Subhadra, and Baladev with his own hands. And those deities are still there. They're right opposite to the house which Gopal Bhatta Goswami and his father, Venkata Bhatta, and his uncle Prabhu Nanda Saraswati lived in. And actually, I've been in the house, and also I've seen the deities of Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu carved. So, very wonderful place. And they take the deities out every day to different Brahmins' houses, and the Brahmins would offer everything to the deities. A whole festival. Every day would be a festival. They have these mammoth palanquins where generally you see a palanquin, there's a little stick about this big, but this palanquin had, each log was about this big, and they had 20 people carrying the deities, and everybody was accompanying the deity, the Utsava Murtis, to different houses. Just beautiful ceremony, very traditional. In South India also, when they would wake the deities up in the morning, there'd be a cow and her calf in front of the deities. Actually, the rear end of the cow, which is considered auspicious. So the deities would open up. And in South India, generally, the temples are oriented so the morning sun actually comes in. When the sun rises, it actually comes right shines directly on the deities. That's quite interesting. So that the deities are facing east. Sometimes in North India, they're facing west. Like in our temple, the deities are facing west. So either way, east or west is allowed according to where you are in India. So anyway, Gopal Bhatta Goswami was the son of Venkata Bhatta, and the devotees there, they generally worshipped in the mood of awe and reverence. In fact, they were worshiping Vishnu and Lakshmi, Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi, or Lakshmi Narayan. And so the mood wasn't like the Gaudiya mood. Generally, the Gaudiya mood is, Radha, Krishna, like that. So it's a very strict, reverent mood. And so there's more descriptions about Srirangam in this summary I have. There were 7 walls around the temple, 7 roads. And of course, Srirangam was established by Sripad Yamunacharya and Ramanujacharya. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived there, and the people were astonished to see his chanting and dancing, because they had not seen that before in Srirangam. Generally, it was just very serious awe and reverence. And then there was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all around, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. And they're like, Om Namo Narayanaya Namaha, Om Namo Narayanaya. Anyone's been to South India has heard this over and over again. The temples resonate with this particular mantra. Om Namo Narayanaya Namaha, Narayanaya Namaha. Let's Ramanujacharya talk this. And so he was going, Hare Krishna, like that. And people were just amazed. And they were charmed by him. And Venkata Bhatta invited him to lunch. And he actually stayed with Venkata Bhatta for 4 months of the raining season, the Chaturmasya period. And Venkata Bhatta had a very nice little boy son. And the son was only 7 years old. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being very affectionate to the little boy, used to pick him up, put him on his lap, embrace him, give him a hug, and played with him, and he would give him his remnants continually. And Gopal Bhatta used to touch the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he served him, 7-year-old boy who was serving Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continually. So during this time, Lord Chaitanya developed a very intimate relationship with Venkata Bhatta, because when you're with someone after a while, in the beginning it's more awe and reverent. In the end, it's like joking, and you're friends. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was joking, and he was teasing Venkata Bhatta, because Venkata Bhatta was very much into worshiping Lakshmi and Narayan, and he saw that Lord Chaitanya was into worshiping Radha and Krishna. And he said to Venkata Bhatta, your Lakshmi, she's supposed to be so chaste, yet she's worshiping Krishna. And she's performing austerities to be able to associate with Krishna, enter into the rasa dance with Krishna. So How can you say she's chaste with this particular understanding? And Venkatapata understood the answer to this. He said, actually, we understand that Krishna is another form of Narayan. Of course, we understand that Narayan is another form of Krishna, but it's the same thing. Prabhupada said, we don't argue about this, because when you start with Lord, because they're all the same person in different moods. We understand the mood of Krishna is most complete. Ete Chanksa Kalak Pumsa, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam, because the most qualities are exhibited, the most intimacy is manifest. So that's what we understand. But still, I mean, we don't go to South India. When I was in South India, I wasn't arguing with people. You know, Krishna's the source of incarnations. No, Narayan is the source of incarnations. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a different way to prove his point. He said, Lakshmi, you know, is supposed to be so chaste, and then why is she worshiping Krishna? And Venkatapata said, well, it's a different form of Narayan, so it's all right. It's not, doesn't violate her chastity. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, that's all right, I understand that. However, although she was performing austerities for many thousands of years, she could not enter into the rasa dance, or into Krishna's intimate pastimes. And Venkatapata said, that's beyond my, as we say, pay grade. He didn't use that expression. He said that, you know, I can't understand that. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that Lakshmi, she was very attached to her opulent mode of worship, which is sometimes compared to someone who's really attached just to the Vaidhi Bhakti principles. Of course, we follow Vaidhi Bhakti, but we follow Vaidhi Bhakti not because, hopefully, not because we're just attached to the rules and regulations, but because we actually are developing or want to develop a more intimate mood with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's not that someone in Raganuga Bhakti doesn't follow Vaidhi Bhakti, but the motivation is different. You understand? His motivation is, Vaidhi is like really into the rules and regulations. And in South India generally, it's like that. They're really into, you know, really precise. Like before you eat, you're supposed to do achman and throw the water on the ground, clean the place, because we should be cleaning too. But, you know, we don't do all these rituals, you know, sprinkle water on it. That's actually where they deity worship ritual of sprinkling water on the offering before you make the offering came from South India. It didn't come from North India. It came from South India. So you see some devotees, some temples are very strict with the South Indian principles and other people not. And actually Prabhupada said if you really want to learn the details of devotional service and the principles, you know, really strict principles, then you go to the Radha-ramana temple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, because amongst all the temples of Vrindavan, they're the ones who are following the strictest, and actually, I would say even stricter than ISKCON, as far as their standard of worship of Radha-ramana. I mean, it's really an amazing, amazing temple, if you get a chance to go to Vrindavan. So, anyway, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that Lakshmi was attached to her opulence, an opulent mode of worship, so therefore she couldn't enter into the rasa dance, because to enter the rasa dance, you have to follow in the footsteps of the gopis. You have to serve the gopis and follow in their footsteps. So after these 4 months of the rainy season, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got ready to leave, and Gopal Bhatta started to cry. He said, don't leave, you know, so attached. So you see, like, children are like that, and it's actually very good if the children get attached to saintly people. And before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, Gopal Bhatta had a dream, because he wanted to see, imagine a 70-year-old, he wanted to see Lord Chaitanya's pastimes before he took sannyas. And Lord Chaitanya, of course, at that time was a sannyas. So he had this, what we call spurti, in which he was able to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. when he was simply Nimai Pandit. We were talking about this in the Chaitanya Bhagavat class. Like Prabhupada said, Lord Chaitanya left his little world when he took sannyas to the big world of Krishna. Such a wonderful expression Prabhupada used, isn't it? Nimai left his little world of Navadvip to the big world of Krishna. Of course, he is Krishna. So he had this. Gopal Bhatta had this spurti, and in this spurti, he not only saw everything, he participated in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. And then Lord Chaitanya revealed to him in a dream that he was Shaima Sundara. Imagine a little 7-year-old boy. Just try to picture in your mind. So in his dream, also he said, in the future, you're going to go to Vrindavan and serve Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami as their younger brother. So then Gopal Bhatta woke up, and sometime later Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him externally, not in the dream. He said, you should stay here in Srirangam and serve your father and mother. Now this is also interesting. In certain cases, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted the devotees to leave their father and mother, like in the case of Raghunath Das Goswami, whose parents were Vaishnava Praya, almost devotees, but not quite devotees. In other words, materialistic devotees, Kanishta Adhikaris. But in the case of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, they were advised to stay with their parents. Though Raghunath Bhatta, he was the son of Tapan Mishra. It's a very interesting story. I was just reading about Tapan Mishra, how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Tapan Mishra when he was in East Bengal. And even though Lord Chaitanya was at Nimai, he was Nimai at that particular time, he revealed to Tapan Mishra who he was. And he told Tapan Mishra, you go to Varanasi and wait for me, and I'll come later on after I take sannyas. It's a really interesting story in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So, anyway, Gopal Bhatta was instructed in this way to serve his mother and father until they passed away. In the meantime, while he was serving his mother and father, he was trained by Prabhupada Saraswati, who was a sannyasi, a Vaishnava, great Vaishnava, an author. And he was trained in him, and he accepted Prabhupada Saraswati as his guru. And he served his parents and always thought of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when his parents passed away, or as they were getting ready to pass away, they ordered him to go to Vrindavan to serve Rupa and Sanatana. So Rupa and Sanatana received Gopal Bhatta with great ecstasy, and they accepted him as their younger brother. He's quite young. And Lord Chaitanya previously told them that when Gopal Bhatta comes, you should send me a message. So they sent a message to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was in Jagannath Puri, and Lord Chaitanya got that message, and we'll hear how he responded to it. In the meantime, Rupa Goswami had a dream that Govinda wanted, his deity of Govinda wanted Gopal Bhatta Goswami as his pujari. So he became the pujari, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after hearing the message that Gopal Bhatta Goswami was there, he sent back different garments, his kopina, outer garments, and a seat to worship, his own seat, like it's a small wooden platform. And that seat is still there in the Radha-ramana temple today. If you ask to see that seat, it's a very, like a square platform of the Radha-ramana temple. So he was serving Govinda, serving the Govinda deity of Rupa Goswami. And he wanted to worship Salagrama-silas. So he went all the way to Nepal, which is quite a long trip if you walk, which she did, to the Gandaki River, and he got 12 shilas there. Incidentally, that temple in Ayodhya to Lord Ram, the deity there was actually made from a big Shila. They carved from a big Salagrama-silas. So, beautiful deity, Ram Lala. That means Ram as a little boy, like a 5-year-old boy. It's one of the most beautiful deities I've ever seen. Of course, all deities are beautiful. So when Gopal Bhatta was in the Gandaki River, he got 12 Shilas, small stones, and he brought them back to Vrindavan. But then he was thinking when he got back to Vrindavan, this is evidence of his humility, that I'm unqualified. So how can I worship these Shilas? Let me bring them back to Gandaki. So he walked all the way back. I mean, I don't know, how long would it take? A month or something? Just to walk there, at least a month or two or something like that, to walk there and then walk back. And these are, it's through the bushes and everything like that. It's not exactly like you get in a rickshaw or whatever. And so he put the Shilas back in the river, and they jumped back in his hands. And he thought, what's happening? He put them back, and they jumped back in his hands again. Amazing. So then he decided, well, I'm going to worship them. And he kept them in a pouch around his neck as he went everywhere. So Salagrama-silas, you can do that with. There was that story in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita about Gopal Kumar, he was looking for the Lord of the universe. And there was one Brahmin who had the Salagrama-silas worshiping, offering things to the Salagrama-silas. And then the Brahmin put the Salagrama-silas, in a box. And Gopal Kumar started crying. He said, he's putting the Lord of the universe in a box. So he's looking for the Lord of the universe. But that's how people worship the Salagrama-silas. So he always wanted to have his own deities, to worship his own deities. And so to sort of like stimulate that particular mood, one day a rich man offered cloth and jewels to him for his deities, So what is he going to do with all the cloth and the jewels? Of course, you could decorate the Salagrama-silas with jewels, but it's sort of difficult to put on a whole dress and crown. What crowns you could put on Salagrama-silas? So Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he took rest that evening, and the next morning, the Damodar Shila became a deity called the Radha-ramana deity. And that Radha-ramana deity is one of the original deities that is still there in Vrindavan. Most of the other deities were taken away to Natwar or Jaipur or Udaipur, and different places like that for protection when the Muslims attacked. So, then in the village near Haridwar, this is when Gopal Bhatta Goswami was traveling, there was a storm, and there was a Brahmin who offered shelter to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and the Brahmin had no son, and he asked Gopal Bhatta Goswami to bless him with a son. And so Gopal Bhatta Goswami blessed this Brahmin with a son. The Brahmin said, I'll offer you my first son. So 10 years later, at Gopal Bhatta Goswami's Bhajan Kutir, a little boy came. Must have been 9 years old if it happened 10 years before. So a 9-year-old boy came. And his name was Gopinath Pujari Goswami. And he served Radha-ramana. He was trained up by Gopal Bhatta Goswami from the time he was a little boy, like 9 or 10 years old. And then his younger brother came and also took initiation and served. So father got some sons, but he sort of lost them right afterwards to Krishna. And to this day, many of his descendants serve. And of course, they're called the Goswami family. They're very strict in that particular temple, this Goswami temple. Very, very strict and very good friends of ISKCON. some of the other Goswamis in other temples are not as strict. There's some stories told by some of my godbrothers that they were in another temple, not the Radha-ramana temple, that one of the Goswamis was serving them prasadam. This is in the Radha Damodar temple, and they looked and he was smoking bidis during that time, and he was hiding behind the door. You probably heard that story. He was hiding behind the door, and he had these big glass. He didn't see the devotees were looking at him. And so, but in the Radha-ramana temple, they're extremely strict, and good friends of ISKCON, and very supportive of ISKCON. So one time, Gopal Bhatta was looking at the deity, taking darshan of the deity Radha-ramana, and he revealed himself as Lord Chaitanya. He saw another Spurti. He saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu standing there. Gopal Bhatta Goswami was also the guru of Srinivas Acharya, this great Acharya who started the Sankirtan, that is the book distribution movement, by taking the books from Vrindavan to Bengal and other places. So, imagine, it's a nice disciple. And as far as the works, that means his literatures, he collaborated with Sanatana Gosvami in what's called the Hari Bhakti Vilas, which Prabhupada mentions is compiled mostly for traditional India, not so much India today. And Prabhupada said many of the injunctions there are not applicable in the West. So we have to be very, very careful, because we find many devotees who are just extremely strict with this Hari Bhakti Vilas, and they criticize others for eating carrots or tomatoes and things like that, And, Prabhupada himself ate carrots. Prabhupada himself came up with tomato chutney. And so many, and carrot halwa too. So we should follow things the way Prabhupada followed things, rather than going back, jumping over Prabhupada. Said, my philosophy is, if it's good enough for Prabhupada, it was good enough for me. The way Prabhupada followed Ekadasi, the way Prabhupada followed all these things is good enough for me, and I don't want to think that I'm more austere or stricter than His Divine Grace of the Prabhupada. So we have to be careful. Just like we were reading in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur commented regarding the whole marriage ceremony and the rituals that were done for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, we don't follow all these things. Because if you followed all these things, it would be quite complicated. I think we should follow the thing about raising the groom and the bride up in a chair and having a competition. That would be kind of fun. But he said generally we don't, he actually personally commented in his commentary in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. We also have the Shatchandarbhas, which were originally put together by, this is what the history says, by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, but in a not so organized fashion. So it was Jiva Goswami who organized these Shatchandarbhas, the 6 theses on devotional service, beginning with the Tattva Sandarbha. That's the thesis on epistemology. And so generally Jiva Goswami is understood to be the author of the Shatchandarbhas, but actually it was Gopal Bhatta Goswami who originally came up with some of the outline for it. Gopal Bhatta Goswami also did a commentary on the Krishna Karnamrita by Bilvamangal Thakur, and as I mentioned before, something a book called Sat Kriya Deepika. Sat Kriya Deepika is basically a book about the samskaras for grahastas, and there's another book called the Samskara Deepika, which is actually the sannyasis and the names for sannyasis, rituals to take sannyas. which, we try to follow these as much as possible. Of course, Prabhupada didn't really follow the ritualistic way of giving names to sannyasis usually. Usually you're supposed to when a giving name to a sannyasi according to, our Gaudiya Sampradaya, you give the name Bhakti first, like Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj or Bhakti Marg Maharaj, isn't it? So a lot of the devotees who are taking sannyas now are getting Bhakti. Prabhupada once in a while did it like Bhakti Churu Maharaj. But in most of the other cases, he just took their previous name, most of the cases, he took the previous name and actually just added Goswami or Swami to the name. But according to the Samskara Deepika, you actually put a bhakti in front of the name and you give them a different name. There's different sannyas names according to the tradition, but Prabhupada was not that traditional. Had he been too traditional, we wouldn't be sitting here today. So in many ways, Prabhupada was really on the cutting edge of innovation insofar as preaching, purity is the forest, books are the basis, utility is the principle. Like that. Preaching is the essence. So, and then finally, Gopal Bhatta Goswami in Krishna Lila was known as Ananga Mandri, who's Radharani's cousin, or Guna Mandri. There's two different opinions according to the acharyas. He appeared in this world in the year 1503 and left this world in 1578. So not such a very long life. In fact, you hear about these many great devotees who live very short lives. 64 years of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and they accomplished so much in such a short period of time. So anyway, so today we are remembering Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and just shortly, we have about 1 minute left. Ramachandra Kaviraja's disappearance today, and of course he was a great associate of Narottama Das Thakur. He was inseparable from Narottama Das Thakur. In fact, he wasn't a disciple of Narottama Das Thakur, he was a disciple of Srinivasa Acharya. There's some stories in the Bhakti Ratnakara and other literatures that even when Ramachandra Kaviraj was asked by Narottama Das Thakur to go and see his wife and family, he could just go like 100 feet away from the temple, and there's a story that he felt so guilty he couldn't follow Narottama Das Thakur's instruction. He started hitting himself, and then Narottama Das Thakur came off his dais or wherever he was sitting, and he said, "Don't, usually you're like beating me." So they had very close relationship. And when Narottama Das Thakur heard that Ramachandra Kaviraj and Srinivasa Acharya, his friend, had left this world, Narottama Das Thakur became convinced that he should leave this world too. And so that's the story when Narottama Das Thakur sat on a funeral pyre, and then later on came down, exhibited a golden thread, and then later on instructed his disciples to bathe him in the river, and he melted into the river, feeling separation from Ramachandra Kaviraj and other great devotees. So there's many, many stories here about that I had written down, so we don't have time. So today we are commemorating the disappearance day of Ramachandra Kaviraj and the appearance day of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Hari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Hari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindanalaya Taksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Bhagom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Andaniya Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Divan Vikayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham
Namahom Vishnu Jaya Krishna Prasthaya Mutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namane Vedanta Samaniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Machar Nekiri Visesha Sunyavani Ashachare Zatarane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sati Gaur Bhakta Vrindavan Sri Krishna Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sanatana Ramachandra Srirangam Radha-ramana go back to Vrindavan. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramachandra Advaita Radha-ramana Gopal Krishna Chaitanya Ramachandra Advaita Radha-ramana no Vrindavan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jai. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Radha, Guru Krishna, Radha, Guru Krishna, Radha. Hey,